Hi, I'm Don, and this is The Hobbyist Geek. And today we are continuing our R2 build. 10 issues left. 10 more episodes and R2 will be complete. And today we are on issue 91 and we have our parts here, and I see a caster wheel and a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, there's another infrared sensor in there. So it looks like we are going to be continuing our work on the center foot. But let's crack it open and see what we got. And here are the parts we get with this issue, and what a load of parts this is! We have the center foot base, we have a leg pivot cover, a left and right switch retainer. We've got this set of 4 plastic plugs along with a straight one and an angled plastic plug. We've got a leg key head, leg key handle, infrared sensor cable. These are micro switches. We've got these cable ties, a caster wheel, a wrench, lovingly called a spanner in the instructions here, along with a whole bunch of screws and washers and nuts. Alright, to begin we're going to go ahead and attach these micro switches to the base of the foot here, and it's important to note the right sensor has black cables, the left has red cables. So we're going to start with the right sensor here. I'm going to pull this up. You can see these 2 holes here. This is where the infrared sensor is going to go. But for now, we'll take the right sensor, or excuse me, the right micro switch, and we're just going to apply it right here. You can see there are 2 holes in the base. There we go. And there are 2 pins for it to rest comfortably in. And with this pressed all the way in, we can do the same for the left switch here. Just like that. And make sure that these cables come around this domed area in the base. Next up, we're going to want to take the infrared sensor here and the infrared sensor cable. We're going to go ahead and attach the cable to the sensor. Alright, and with the cable attached, we can go ahead and plug the sensor in, and you can see there are 2 holes for the sensors here, and then 1 hole right there. That is for the hole in the center of the circuit board, and we'll go ahead and attach it with a 6mm screw. Alright, look at that. Nice and pretty. Next up, we're going to want to attach these switch retainers here. And what's important to note is that they've got these little posts here. Those posts are designed to push these cables out of the way and keep them from covering up these bases here. Now they are keyed kind of right and left, but they're not marked that way. So for the right switch, it is BF48. Just slide it in just like this, making sure to keep the cable on the proper side of that post. And then we'll use 2 6mm screws to hold it in place. Alright, and with the retainer in place, we can do the same for the left side. Again, making sure to keep these cables out of the way, and 2 more 6mm screws to hold it in place. Alright, look at that. Nice and pretty. Alright, for the next part, we're going to take the caster wheel here, along with 1 nut, 1 washer, and 1 spring washer. And we're going to go ahead and just put the caster wheel up in here until it's nice and flush. while holding it in place. While holding it in place, flat washer, followed by the spring washer, followed by the nut. And you can use the wrench to make sure it is nice and tight. Alright, there's the wheel. That thing isn't going anywhere. At this stage, you can actually test the infrared sensor by plugging it into your test circuit, much like we did with the last one. And we turn it on, and you'll notice it's got a green light right here. If we run this off the table or just simply lift it off the ground, you can see the green light goes away. And that is how we know the infrared circuit is working just fine. Alright, for this next bit, you're going to need a whole bunch of parts. You need the left and right sides of the foot. You need both of the foot details. You need the leg support, the bumper, the pivot rod, the foot base. You're going to need 2 of the smaller 2mm wide, 6mm long screws, and 10 of the 2.3mm wide, 6mm screws. To begin, we're going to take both of these cables here. What we're going to do is we're going to feed them through this center support, right through this hole right there. Alright, once you've got those through that hole, you can take the left leg support here. You can see this channel right here. There's actually a little cutout. That's where the cables are going to go. They're going to be wind their way right through there, and then we line this up to hold them in place, just like that. And we're going to start by taking the 2mm wide screws here and here to hold it in place. Alright. For this next bit, you're going to need these foot detail pieces, and you can see that they've got this raised bit. It's actually got a slot in there, and that is going to slide right over this section here, and you've got another one on the other side, so we'll just repeat that. Alright, next up is the bumper bar and the pivot rod. And we've got these 2 holes here, and we'll just slide that puppy right on through both holes, just like that. Next up, we're going to be sliding the pivot rod into this hole right here. Should go just like this, all the way in, so nice and neat, just like that. And that way you can take the right side and just line it up with everything to slide it in place. Alright, and with all of that done, we're going to want to take 6 of the 6mm screws, and we can attach them in these 6 holes. Alright, and with all 6 screws in, just double check and make sure both cables are coming out easily here, and that the bumper moves freely and is plugged into both sides of the foot. With that in place, we can take the foot bottom here, and we'll slide that together, and try to do it while pulling out any excess cable. And it should line up with 4 lugs there, and we've got 4 holes for 4 more screws. All right, and with all of that in place, some things to double check. Make sure you've got all of the slack out of the cabling here. Make sure to test out the infrared sensor if you haven't already, and double check the bumper bar to make sure that it does close in and that the sensors click as it does. Now we can cover up the screw holes here. We'll take the straight plug, that'll go in this hole here, and then the angled plug here will go up here. Just like that. And these 4 will cover these 4 holes. Look at that. How pretty is this? Yeah, maybe I can get these plugs in a little better, but other than that, I think this is coming along nicely. And here is where the real fun begins. First up, we're gonna tidy up the cables on the legs here. So we've got all these cables coming out the hole in the shoulder, and we're just going to get those all together nice and neat. And then we're going to take the cable tie that came in this issue. We're going to go ahead and apply it all the way down, and we will repeat the process on the other leg. And look at that. All of those cables neatly organized. Alright, for this next part, we're going to take the body frame and we're going to take the left leg here. And if you haven't already, make sure you remove the cover that goes in here because, well, it's going to get in the way. And what we're going to want to do here, we're going to want to slide all of these cables right through the shoulder joint. And up on in. You're going to have to go all the way through. Until you can line up the shoulder with the leg. Once it's lined up, there are 2 tabs here that will help keep it aligned, and you can see 4 holes in there. And what you're going to want to do is throw in these 8mm silver screws with a little washer into each of those holes. Alright, it should look like that when complete. And now we get to repeat the process for the other leg. All right, things are certainly coming together now. Next up, we want to take the cables, and if you take a look, there are these mounting plates here on either side. There's another one over here. And we want to take these cables from the legs and feed them through the hole. Alright, and when you're done, it should look something like this, with the cables going neatly through these braces. Next up, we're going to assemble the leg key here, and it's pretty simple. There's a square hole, there's a square peg. We basically just slide them together, and there's a large 8mm screw, I believe 2.6mm wide, that is going to go in there. Just like that. Alright, with that key in place, You can just slide it right into these shoulder covers here. You can see they've got the little tabs. Those tabs will go in those holes. And then we want to turn it clockwise to lock it into place. There you go. And we'll do the same on the other side. Alright, for the right leg here, it actually seems like we got to turn it counterclockwise to lock it into place. Alright, next up, we're going to take the bottom panel here and we're going to fit it to the frame. You want to make sure it's the right way around, so this loose panel is actually going to face towards the rear of R2, and the charging port here is going to be towards the front. So we'll flip it over, and the power switch cable is going to go through the center hole, whereas the charging cable here is going to go right through the front hole. Try to make sure you get all the slack out and line it up just right. Alright, once it's in place, you'll take 6 of these 6mm screws, and they will go in all of these holes, and if you want, you can also screw in the holes in the back, the captive screws that we put in when we built the base. Look at that! And last but not least, we're going to take the center foot, we're going to throw it right in here. You can see on the base here there are 4 pegs and 4 screw holes. And those pegs are going to go in the outer holes, and the screw holes should line up. These cables will go right in the large hole in the center. There we go. And we will screw it in from the other side with 4 of these. Whoop. Helps if I don't drop them. 4 of these little countersunk screws. All right, and that actually completes this stage. I went into this stage thinking we were just going to finish assembly on the center foot here, and we ended up doing all this. Oh my God, look at this thing. R2 is finally coming together. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get to the next stage. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.